Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 542, we're going to talk about Eutropia, the twice favorite. And what are the odds of me doing two Simic commanders back to back? Well, heck, what are the odds of a non-Ravnica set having two Simic commanders? Anyway, this one's going to be drastically different than yesterday's deck. Although the same mana cost, but this time we get a 2-2 with Constellation. I like how they put Constellation on non-enchantment cards. That's kind of neat. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That creature gains flying until end of turn. So there's a sweet spot here. It looks a little confusing at first because it makes you want to play enchantments, but it also makes you want to play creatures because you got to put the +1/+1 counters on a creature. Now, I can see this being a crazy good Voltron deck. Really, I can. But that's not exactly the route I went because I got hung up on I want to play enchantments, but I want to play creatures. So, I'm going to play enchantment creatures. Like Eidolon Blossoms. Now, this is a Enchantress style, a lot like the Verduran Enchantress or the Cetesian Champion. But that way, I wanted to put those in there just for some more card draw. So let's go through the rest of the enchantment creatures, of which there's a bunch, because every time we drop one of these creatures, it triggers, and this is a creature that we can put counters on. So I wanted to get, max value out of doing the thing that we want to do, right? So, Dryad of the Elysian Grove, make 2 land drops and solves your mana problems? Sure. Nyx Bloom Ancient, which I love this card, and yes, I did buy the foil. It's not really, even out of the sleeve, it doesn't really come off as foil, but trust me, my wallet says it is. But it's a good card. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be in every single green deck. I really don't. But, it's got 3 green pips. It's an enchantment creature. Just that alone is going to win it a place in some decks. Obviously, big mana green. But to be honest with you, we had big mana green before this card. And this, a lot of times, I want to do just ridiculous things with it. I really do, with Rider Replication and whatever. But anyway, triples your mana. That's fine. Caliph, enchantment creature, and it, kind of makes your creatures and enchantments harder to hit. Renata, they get an extra +1/+1 counter when they come into play, so that kind of seemed. A lot of these are just, vanilla creatures. They just happen to be enchantment creatures, the Nyxborn Sea Guard, the Shimmerwing Chimera, Thassa's Emissary, got Bestow, so, Nylea's Emissary. I love Nylea's Forerunner because it grants everything trample. This is kind of my place where I would normally run like an overrun effect. This is, Thassa's Devourer, Whitewater Naiads, Nyxborn Colossus, Goldenhide Ox, Humbler of Mortals, Nyx Herald, Knight of Hidden Coves, Nyxborn Triton, Nyxborn Wolf, Oakheart Dryad, Spire Spine, Destiny Spinner, Stinging Lionfish, Leaf-Crowned Dryad, and Eidolon of Philosophy. Those are the enchantment creatures that we are running. So, Now let's get to what do we do next? Just the enchantments? Sure. I've got the enchantments broke up into auras and just regular enchantments. Now, Hydra's Growth, really good one. Going to double the counters each turn, and we're adding counters from our commander, so, that's pretty sweet. Exoskeletal Armor. Now, this is one I don't understand why it doesn't see more play, right? Because Exoskeletal Armor, number of creature cards in all graveyards. Wow. I especially think this would probably be pretty good in a black-green deck, mainly because you've got the black for all the removal, but it just seems good regardless. Shielding Plaques, of course, going to give it hexproof and replace itself. The Favor of the Overbeing. Yeah, that's still a good card. Now, regular enchantments. The first Iroh in games is not a strong magic card. We all know that. But, I played the heck out of this in the pre-release. If you cast it and they deal with your 1/1 soldier token, there's a good chance it's just going to blank the rest of the card for you. So, but here, we don't really care about that first one. We're going to have creatures, and we're in this card for the 3/1/1 counters and the 2 cards, which we're going to have. And sure, we'll win the gold at the end. Ashiok's Erasure is kind of counter magic-y. And let's see. When it enters the battlefield, exile target spell. So you're not countering it. So all your uncounterable things, don't care. Your opponents can't cast spells of the same name as the exiled card. When it leaves the battlefield, you return the exiled card to its owner's hand. Now, I have some questions regarding commanders and command zone. So, enters the battlefield, I can exile your commander while it's on the stack. You cast it, I respond to it, erase it. Instead of it going to the graveyard or in exile, you will probably choose to have it go to the command zone. But I'm still under the impression the way this is worded, because they're all different sentences, your opponents can't cast spell with the same name as the exiled card. Now, if the card is not still exiled, I don't know. I don't think you can lock them out from playing their commander. I don't think. Because it reads like the commander would still have to be exiled. So, I don't. If anyone out there knows differently than that, either way, this is still anti-supreme verdict or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Still a good card, but if it was the other way, it might be a little busted in our format. Biden of Thassa is just in there to help us draw some cards. Now, Rite of Passage. A creature is dealt damage, it puts a 1/1 counter on it. I do like the reminder text there. The damage is dealt before the counter. So, if it dies, it just dies. But, it's a good card. Bread for the Hunt. Creature you control the 1 counter on it deals combat damage, you draw a card. That's sweet, because, probably most of our creatures are going to have 1/1 counters on them. Simic Ascendancy. Here again, it actually fits better in this deck than the last one I know, simply because this is a 1/1 counter deck, and this is another win condition. I've only got one Planeswalker in Kiora Behemoth Beckoner, just because of the card draw. Why is blue-green so good at drawing cards? I guess it's the 2 best card-drawing colors, huh? Anyway, let's look at some ramp, shall we? We have usual mana rocks. We have Altar of the Pantheon, Simic Locket, Spectral Searchlight, Simic Signet, Midnight Clock. I just got a bunch of Midnight Clocks in. I kind of like this. In a pinch, it's a 3-mana mana rock that produces a blue. That right there, there's a shortage of those. Not a lot of those exist, but here we have this alternative thing that, we can pump 24 mana into it and get a personal time twister. No, my bad. 12 time, 36 mana personal time twister. Wow. Of course, rampant growth, Marrowleaf Pixie, the Utopia Sprawl. But let's talk about Springleaf Drum. Now, Springleaf Drum is good in certain applications, and I like to think this is one of those applications. Now, it comes out early. It doesn't do anything without a creature, so you've got to have a creature to tap. Well, our preferred creature to tap, of course, is Gilderbaron. Gilderbaron, that untap symbol. Now, keep in mind the untap symbol follows the same rules as tap, so you cannot, if it's sick, you cannot untap it either, and it has to be tapped to untap it. So, but you get to double the amount of counters on a permanent, be it your walker or your, a lot of your creatures that are, got all these 1/1 counters on them. Mowu helps the cause. Helps the cause for himself. Nimbus Swimmer, yeah, we got all that mana. I know, we got all that mana, so it might end up in a big old Nimbus Swimmer. Who knows? The Vegan Graph Mage. I love the ability to spend some, 2 mana to untap a creature with a 1/1 counter on it. This could be with the Marrowleaf Pixie. Well, you would have to have the Marrowleaf Pixie plus the tripler. That way, the Pixie produces 3. You're using 2 of it to untap it. Rinse and repeat. You've got, it's whatever. There's not much you can't do with the Nyx Bloom. Okay. Biomancer's Familiar. I love this activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less. And the adapt thing, which doesn't really matter to us because we don't have any adapt whatsoever. But it's reducing that activation cost. Kind of like that. Cloudfin Raptor. This is the ultimate turn 1 drop. It really is. Just evolve. It's going to be a while before creatures are smaller than it, so yeah, that's a slippery boggle. I know we're not pumping it as much as some, but this I don't think is a perfect turn 1 drop. Although you want to play this late and get counters on it, so you can get those counters. Now, the proliferate cards are amazing and probably should be in here if I had the engine or the landfall or stuff like that. But I am just about out of proliferate cards at the moment. But let's talk about Plax Manta. This is a creature in the strictest sense there is. It's an instant creature. You've got to pay a blue and a green for it in order for it to stick around. But the comes into play ability, creatures you control can't be targets of spells or abilities this turn. That's real strong. Not a lot of people see that coming. Return to Nature and Mystic Repeal are enchantment removals, of course. Now, Simic Charm. Here again, this is a really good charm. It's a giant growth. Your permanents gain hexproof or bounce a creature. So that's kind of not bad. Oko the Trickster. Wow, that foil is not conducive to being filmed, is it? But the reason why that's in there, this is the Planeswalker deck Oko, passing out 1/1 counters. That's pretty much it. Now, Spitting Image. Spitting Image is awesome. I love this card. Just simply because I guess y'all see what the next deck is, don't you? The Retrace ability. You put a token into play that's a copy of that creature. Now, 6 mana, you make a copy of whatever. Maybe an explanation? I don't know. And then you can spend 6 mana and ditch a land to just keep playing this from your graveyard over and over and over again. So, I don't know. Maybe I don't have enough X spells or mana dumps for stuff like this. I don't know. Bioshift. Move any number of 1/1 counters from target creature onto another target creature with the same controller. Obviously, we're going to do this for ourselves when one of our creatures gets targeted or dies. Ain't no sense in having those counters go to waste, right? So we'll just, take them off the creature that's dying over to something that's going to live. Our last non-land card, we have Neoform. You sack a creature and you pod. Now, there's a new pod. Pod is actually really good. And the new enchantment creature pod, I didn't pull any of that from the new set, so I'm not even sure what the name of the card's called. But you know what I'm talking about. You sack the enchantment to get the creature. So non-basic lands, pretty well the usual suspects. The Simic Guildgate, Woodland Stream, Thornwood Falls, Evolving Wilds, Rogue's Passage, and lastly, Novagen, the Heart of Progress. May not happen a lot, but if it happens, I like it. It's a cost of 3 mana. This land plus 2 more. But, counter on everything that came into play. Sure, why not? So, that is it for Eutropia. I'm actually really, really, I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm really excited about this one. Because everybody loves drawing cards and playing with 1/1 counters and stuff like that. So, that's this deck. I may probably play this one more often than a lot of the others. So, got Eutropia. That's 542. Continuing on that new stack we started. But I do appreciate it. Y'all let me know what you think. And right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.